So yeah, hello guys. As you have seen, my name is John Esther. I'm part of the GCP mentors, and so this for me is a session that I want to be holding with you guys. I want to see you grow in GCP and using GCP, and actually not just GCP, any cloud questions in general, because at the end of the day, GCP offers this way of moat crowd. The concept of moat crowd, they are actually, I think, the first guys to be able to work with this very efficiently, that you can have your workload in Azure, you in the AWS, and you can still be able to do some things with it in GCP. So is everybody seeing my screen, the presented screen?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Uh oh, what happened now? So, as you can see, our topic today is GCP Compute Engine. The compute engine for, let's say, for GCP, I think, let me just ask, before I go on, everybody has by now interacted with the courses in being given by I mean, like, under this program. I hope so. I'm not just assuming stuff. Yeah, I need engagement, guys. I need some engagement.
No, you are not. I've gone through the courses.
Okay. Okay, you are, okay, no, but yes. So everybody has seen how GCP looks like. So I don't wanna start on that part. So because I want to just go directly into compute. Like last session on Tuesday, we were talking about actually how to get started with GCP, the introductions, and we kind of touched on how GCP works, like how you open it up, and everybody I know has been able to open it up by now. So I won't talk much about that. What I want to talk about is now the compute part. Trying to see if I can let me stop the share, and then I will just share the entire screen so that I can be able to switch between GCP and the presentation. But for now, this is our topic. We'll be talking about compute engine, and then this one will be setting up VMs and choosing a VM based on the workload you want and the budget you have. So continuing on, I want us first of all to actually just understand just a simple understanding, like what is actually a virtual machine and what is it important. Like I mean, like, to you guys, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, like, even before you, let me actually just go back to the previous. And see, I don't know why people cannot unmute. I hope everybody can unmute, because I want this to be an actual one-on-one conversation. I don't want anybody to be locked out. So, yeah. Somebody has answered us that a virtual machine is a compute resource that uses software instead of a physical computer to run program and deploy applications. And basically, I feel like that one nails it really well, because we are talking about a virtualization of like, if you think about I really don't want to dwell on this. I think I just give you guys for that to check it up. As you learn what exactly a virtual machine is, because basically what it is it's just like a virtual environment where all the functions of the computer systems are virtualized. It's CPU, the memory, the network, the storage, they are virtualized. You have like one single physical hardware or multiple of them, and then on top of them you have a hypervisor software that now it gives each virtual machine is given the resources that the hardware has. So that's basically what it is. And now the bigger importance of it, especially in this technology world, is like one of the bigger things is, even like the first two, I am actually even referencing them to your own computer. If you wanna test a different OS than what your computer right now has, you would want to use a virtual machine on top of your computer. If you want to have, like, let me just say, personally, I don't feel offended the fact that I use a Windows computer to do all my stuff. But on top of that, I am able to put on a Linux kernel, and I'm able to work on things like, if everybody in my team is using a Linux machine and they want to see it like I am also using that, I just put on an OS on top of my OS, and I'll still be able to work it out. So yeah, that's one of the things, and that makes it highly scalable. Like even your own tiny computer, you can have a lot more. You can have like 6 or 7 virtual machines, each serving a different purpose. Maybe one is hosting your home website. I used to do that, like when I was learning. I still do, like home. Just create a virtual machine, host stuff there for the people in my at home to use. And then there's also the data security of the host OS. If you want to test something and you're not very sure about its security, you'd use it on an OS that does not interact with the host, and then it reduces the cost on physical infrastructure. That's just basically the generic. And moving on, because this is like an hour session, so I need to like rush through, and then I can have some discussion with you guys or any question. Now, moving on to GCP. You can see, I need this conversation going on, and you guys tell me if you cannot unmute. I try to look at what the settings are, but in reality, this is some of the GCP offerings of machine. Like when you say this topic was about choosing the best machine for a different purpose, and we will go live. We will go on the GCP itself, and I'll be able to show you the decisions you have to make. But the main GCP offerings of virtual machines will be, we have the general purpose ones, we have the compute optimized ones, and then we have other versions. So the general purpose virtual machines, these are just meant to be optimized for your pocket. Like they are very cost effective. The GCP has these features that if you want to deploy like a test program and it's just for testing, there's a machine for that. It is very raw, it's shared, and you don't, I think it's free for if you have one, so you can continue like using it for indefinitely. So I can just tell you, like, for my first 1 or 2 years, like I was just having my blog, which I just demolished it and started recreating again. I was hosting it in a virtual machine in GCP, and I never paid a dime for that. So there's that offerings. There's that for the general purpose ones, like if you want to test a DB, or rather you want to work with a database that's not too intensive in terms of hits, then you want to test your environment, any web applications, and some light mobile gaming. The general purpose ones will be, so you see you can have like 224 vCPUs and 896 GB of memory in a single VM, like learning for these general purpose ones, and it's also force for the others. But meaning, like, if you are, I don't know how many people here use very heavy programs. I don't think there are any more heavy programs according to the computing world these days, but having 224 vCPUs means you have like 224 cores. It's like those cores you call i7s. It's having like an i7 computer a few more times multiplied inside a single core. So yeah, it's basically what it is, and it's a very, so whenever you see this E2 and 2 and 2D and 1, most of these are currently the general purpose ones, and the main one that is being used by default right now is the E2. Then there is these ones that are compute optimized. These are for like gaming servers. there's a lot of hits per second on the computing resources of the computer, and so these ones are optimized specifically for that. And also there's something we do, like when you are doing like the COVID research, like that was happening. Okay, the COVID research, like it has been you cannot try to do it in like uh, in a standard. Okay, sorry. Okay, you cannot do it in a standard PC. You just need computer. There's a lot of interaction in on memory, or rather in computer. Like the what do we kind of, I'm trying to tell you, like you are using a lot of the computing resources of your computer. You are using like all the cores. So this, like when the computer, like right now when Nvidia is trying to design their chips, that's the kind of VMs they would want to use. And then there are the C ones. Then there's these ones that are just memory optimized. You use a lot of RAM when you are trying to do something. Like if anybody has used this database I have some time back, the SP HANA, it makes your PC choke on memory, but you still have your like disk memory, but your RAM. So there's this. These are the M1 standards. And also, if you are doing a lot of heavy analytics that is memory based, you would want to use the memory optimized VMs. These ones are no longer optimizing on your cost at all, to be realistic. So yeah, and this is are the M1s, and you see like this M1 is capable of like one single instance can be able to have 12 TB of RAM attached to it. So yeah, you can imagine that how many have more than 16 GB right now in this call. Anyway, that's just so. And then there's this one accelerator optimized ones. We call them the accelerator optimized, but in reality these are the GPU optimized ones. If you are into machine learning, AI, like this is the kind of VM you would want to use, especially if you are doing research and well you have the budget for it. You use the A2s, and you see like one single A2 you can attach like 16 GPUs each with 40 GB of memory. Well, like, can you imagine if that was your gaming rig? Well, you can be able to get that. So you can see now this accelerator optimized VMs are like, they are very specific. They are based on this NVIDIA Ampere A100 Tensor Core GPUs, and these GPUs, okay, the Google ones, they use the 40 GB memory ones, but there is also the 80 GB memory. So imagine attaching 16 GPUs each at with 40 GB. Well, you can imagine that's now that is not saving on your cost anymore. The N1s, even N1, sometimes you see the one we had said there is the optimized ones. Okay. Sorry, this one is becoming so, and then after that we have these ones. This one is an upcoming type. This will be the like kind of the fifth type. These ones are they are scaled out. This would be very good for microservices, such that the same way we use this, another service we'll talk about in the future about GCP, like with the one we call Cloud Run, or even App Engine Standard, where one you put in a load on your PC, and then once the load is when there's nobody is using your server, it scales down to 0. That you are not being charged anymore. There's no resources out there, and the owner will come out. You only start getting charged when somebody is actually on your site. Well, that's basically one of how I actually operate all my sites. Most of my sites I don't have to pay when nobody is on my site, especially if you know it's a low traffic site. You don't wanna use a VM, a heavy VM that you are actually paying for, even when it's you are not doing anything on it. Well, it saves a lot on cost. Well, These are some of the features. I heard somebody was talking about being from the Azure world, and from Azure you can. I know there's all these features are almost okay. There's somebody. So all these are some of the features of GCP, the VMs. So we have predefined VMs. I'm gonna show you this in just a minute. How we are actually we go through this. This one we have you can see that we have predefined VMs means that you have already been told what memory to have, how many vCPUs, how much storage, and then there are these custom ones. If all those predefined ones don't fit your bill in terms of how you see how you are processing, how much processing power you will need, and how much money you have to use, you can create your own custom VMs and attach all kind of things. And then there's the preemmitable ones. These ones will be stopped at least once in 24 hours. And these are quite interesting, especially when you are doing bulk jobs, when you are just processing stuffs in bulk and then you stop. These ones can save your cost up to 80% on GCP, because when they are just there when more resources are needed, they get stopped. But when nobody else needs those resources, they are available to you at like 20% cost. Like they're charged very lowly. Then there's another thing that has been introduced. Anybody who is in machine learning, there's something we call confidential computing, that this data of yours, if you put it in GCP, in this virtual machine, you can process your data at you are processing data that is like encrypted. Not just at least there's this there's the assumption that for Google, everything you put on GCP is encrypted by default. That's the what it is in how it happens in VM. But this one in confidential computing, your data is also it's also protected even like during processing. So your data, you are reading data, like even whoever is reading, nobody can look at your data and understand it at all. Only the computer is understanding that. So it takes a little bit longer, but for something like government or security analysis, this is what happens. Like it's a confidential computing. Even the data itself is encrypted during processing, which is quite interesting because that's a huge feat for anybody. Then there's also the OS patch management. The Google will make sure every time there is a patch on their or anything, there is a problem, any security breach in say a Linux kernel or a Windows kernel, they are very fast to make sure that your OS, your VM is very much patched and it's secure instead of being because that has been, I think it has been happening a lot of data is being compromised because an OS kernel had a problem. Google makes sure it tests all its OSs before it puts them to be usable at the VMs. Then there's another great thing about GCP. This is me not talking about any other cloud. I'm talking about like GCP itself. There's something we call like sizing recommendation. Let's say you started your application with a very huge virtual machine, and then Google will do analysis on your workload a little bit, and then it will give you a suggestion on the right size for your application, so that you stop using money that you shouldn't actually be using. So they do that. They recommend that. They will recommend on not just right sizing. They will actually even recommend on security. You just analyze your application and they will just tell you, well, this is not secure. Just give me a sec. Sorry about that. Then there's another one. This is called Sultan Nodes. This means if your government is afraid that their data is sitting in somebody else's country, well, I don't know whether they have a right to, but what Sultan Nodes mean is you know specifically which data center your data is coming from, which Google data center the data is coming from, and which server it's coming from. So basically it's like you have rented Google's server, but you're still accessing it via GCP, the normal way we access the public cloud. It's not necessarily as public because it's no longer public, because that CPU that you are using will not be given to anybody else. It's not gonna be shared. There's no other people's VM running on it. It's yours. Like you have, like the way we used to hire in the past. You go and loan a data center for yourself, but this one is now a little bit is like a public cloud, but not necessarily a public cloud. Then you can reserve your VMs. If you know you get a huge load maybe on Tuesday, you can reserve the VMs that you need so that you get very reduced cost. And then Google VMs also support containerization. You can learn containers on GCP. Or I'm trying to think of. I mean, I am forgetting the main container orchestration software we use. Anybody has been working with containers? Yes. Oh, this is Kubernetes, but what is it? The actual containerization software, the main ones we are using. Yes, Docker. Thank you, Gary. Yes, I was forgetting the word Docker, imagine. Yes, so if you have Docker containers, you can be able to run them on top of a VM. So it means you can actually get one VM from GCP and then use that VM to run Docker images, different Docker images on top of it. So you are like really optimizing on your use of that single VM. Then Google was the first one to do this per second billing. It doesn't count like at the end of the day or how I assumes that you have used it for an hour. Well, in reality, you learn it for 10 minutes and stopped. It will count it per second. So and then you can do any OS you want. Well, Windows OS comes with a license fee, but you can do any Linux distro, any custom OS are supported. And then you can attach high-speed SSDs to your VMs. You can create a multitude of VMs at the same time that are serving a single application, especially when you want, let's say you work in retail and it's Black Friday. Yeah, Karimot, we'll talk about containerization when after the presentation a bit, and then actually everybody else can join. There's somebody who wants us to explain the containerization. So yeah, we'll get back to you, Kalimot. And then the instance group, like I was saying, Black Friday, you know that a lot of people are gonna be accessing your application, your e-commerce. So what you do, you create VMs, different VMs called instance groups that once you can decide which is the lowest number of VMs and which is the highest. And when the load starts to increase for your application, it is split it among the different VMs. So that is the instant group. And then there's this powerful thing we do with GCP VMs. You can do a live migration of a VM. So you don't have a downtime when you are migrating your VM. You can create an image, and then still your application is live, and then Once you are done, you create another VM, and there's no disruption. And then there's a VM manager. This one is just a way of managing your VMs. So this one slide is packed with a lot of things. All this, that's you see, this is GCP part 1. We will be able to explain this, all of this, the predefined VMs, how to deal with them, the pre-immutable ones. I may not touch on confidential computing, but I'm looking into that. So tenants, possibly that one I wouldn't try to do. But everything else, these ones are like a topic on their own, all of them. Okay, are we in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. Then moving on. Moving on, we want to talk a little bit about how to actually make VMs. Currently, what have you guys been doing? Which level are you in actually following the labs, the training on your modules? Yeah, anybody can just answer, just unmute and just talk a little bit.
So currently I'm in the last part of the compute engine infrastructure, which is the automation and auto scaling.
Okay. Yeah, so like you can see, so if you are at that level like he is, you have been interacting with the GCP console. So this time I want to talk about the different ways you actually make the VMs in GCP.
Okay.
These like methods. I'm not gonna talk to you about how to make it in the console, or how to make it in the shell, or how to use deployment manager yet. We will get there. But on a high level, these are the ways you need to be able to understand how VMs work. You can either create them from scratch. You can either create them from an existing instance template. You can also be able to create it from an existing image, or you can deploy one from the marketplace. And I think that is the first lab for all of us went through, if you went through the program. But so in this case, I want just in very quick. Okay, I'll get to that, Jukal. I'll be able to help with that, and I'll also look at other mentors who are in the program to actually give a little bit of highlight. Okay, so defining it from scratch. So today I just want to do a demo, just to show you, like, this is me not using any tutorial on Pluralsight. This is just me when I want to do my own application. So let's see. So is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Yes. So everybody is familiar with this. And don't go try to hack me on my application, because I'm sharing you my live. This is actually live on my. If you wanna look at my website, it's called just geocreatives.com. Yeah, it lands on Google Cloud. Nothing much there that you can that it's not that, it's not like that specific that I don't mind. I can't show you what it looks like at the back end, but not on this meeting. Okay, I need to zoom in. Better? Yeah? I need feedback. Somebody says it's not zoomed in well.
That's good.
Okay. So now, what I want us to do is these are all the things we have been talking about. What I want us to do is ignore this part that says product, and I want us to come here and do just press on compute engine, because this is what we're gonna be discussing for a while. Maybe in the next 2-3 sessions. No, actually 2. Okay. So this is what I was telling you how to make. Yours might actually be different than this, but for me, this is what I have when I want to create a new instance. So I won't come here. I will come here. You click on virtual compute, then virtual machines, and then you come here and do create an instance. Are we good?
Yes.
Yes. So, so this is what I'm telling you guys about. Well, if you want to create a VM, you have these 4 ways of doing it. You can create a VM from scratch, from a template, from a machine image, or from the marketplace. Now, what I'll do is just show you this, and then you can always, because this discussion was also to look at what costs you are going to experience when after you run your virtual machine. So for this case, you see, if I do this at default, it will be costing me like $25.46 a month. And well, let's be realistic. Most of us, if you start, you don't want to be you really never want to be paying that much when you actually don't know what you're doing on the cloud. And that's just my feeling. That's why I told you this is actually a very open discussion. If you have your, like, say, your blog which is not making you money and you have hosted it, would you really want to be paying $25 per month for it?
No.
No, nobody wants. No. So you need, that's the whole time saying, like, you should be very price conscious when you are using your VMs in the cloud. Because if you, like, most GCP, they have this standard. They want you to just be, this is what the default is what they offer, something we call an SLA. They will tell you it will be available 99.99% of the time. So in case they go to 99.98, they are actually supposed to compensate you for downtime. And Google does that actually. It's one of the clouds that do that. If their system fails and the SLA fails, like per year, your workload was less than the SLA agreed, they compensate you. So this is why they start here at this default. But if you want to have your site and maybe you don't want to pay a lot, if I come here and just change it to a micro vCPU, I get to pay just $7, isn't it? And I think that can handle your load. And we are doing this, like, specifically working on one. You look at these monthly estimates always. And remember, there's also something. Let me share video a bit. Okay.
N1 is cheaper than the E2.
Yes. Yes, you see, like Matthew says, the N1s are cheaper. You see, like the E1s, these are just, they want to assume this is a workload that is learning, and somehow you are actually paying for it. Is this not for you are like, what we do, like, for your portfolio or anything? If it's not giving you money, you don't also still be spending $7 a month on it. So there is another series called this is the first generation. This is the N1 standard. If you come here and lose, like, the micro, you see how much your pricing reduces. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also something about this, if you have created, for me, I have a lot of projects running. That on my site. But if you just started and you get this for free, like if you create only one F1 micro, you actually get it for free. And that's what you need to be gauging. That's why I want you, like, whenever you work, don't start even think about GCP and everything. Just first of all think what can handle your workload, because I think even if you say you don't know crowd, you know how you would be able to estimate how much something costs in terms of computing power, and that's what you play with here. Like if I want to do something else different, like I want a heavy processing CPU, if I come here and I would just change this to say compute optimized or GPU, let's go to the highest. This one's costs a ton, and then let's just try that one. You see how much you'll be paying per month?
Yeah, wow.
That's how you need to be able to play with your costs very well. Otherwise, you might end up being slapped with a bill that you don't understand actually what were you doing with it. And before Google introduced this way of optimizing your cost by telling you, they actually, you look at your workload and will tell you, please, I know you think, okay, let me stop sharing the video a bit so that I can use the other screen. Okay, like if you come, most of the time Google will try to optimize this for you and tell you, well, don't go for the 96 vCPUs. I mean, or your workload is not that much, because you see you are talking about this and you have like 16 GPUs. You don't want to do that. So these are what you need to change with, and these are what we say they are predefined. These are predefined by Google. Okay. So
Question.
Yep.
Quick question. The cheapest package is the one of about $4.
$4, but if you have only that one running in GCP, there's something we call the free tier, where you don't pay anything for that.
Can I see it?
Yeah.
Can you show a demo for it?
Actually, let me see which one is. This is what is given for free by GCP. Not the I want the free tier, not the free trial. They are two different things. If you start by the if right now, if you start you open a GCP account, you get like $300 free to use for a year. Hey, they say 90 days. I left it as a year. For me, when I was starting, it was a year. You get 300 credits. But my advice is don't try to do that now until you are through with the project, the program, and you are sure what you actually want to do. Otherwise, you're gonna waste them. I ended up wasting over $200 of mine in that 1 year. So I can tell you from. So let me see. That one I had not put free tier. Yeah, you can see here. This if I'm just gonna go for the compute. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So this compute engine, it's not one non-preemtable like E2 micro. This one we are talking about here, the general purpose one, even the E2 micro. This one that's supposed to cost you $7. It's free. It's free as long as you don't exceed like you don't have another one, and then you can have another, like you have 30 GB free of persistent disk, and you can also store a snapshot of your VM 5 GB worth for free still. So Google, like if you're not really a heavy traffic site, you have a lot of ways of hosting it for free. And I can tell you, like for me, for the first 2 years, I never paid a dime. One thing is because I was learning, I started learning, and then I started doing competitions, and then you do competitions, Google gives you credits to use in their GCP. So you can actually find yourself not paying anything, and the year is through, and you have actually been having sites that are actually being used by a lot of people. It depends on how you are loading your DNA. But to be, you could look at this, and let me share this to the chat. But these are the free tier versions of GCP that with the micro, you are not charged anything, and then it goes even for all the others, which we'll talk about with time. Like Cloudland, you need like 2 million requests for you for Google to start actually charging you. So there's a lot of way of playing, and you need to. This actually page is very important. Be looking at what is free tier, how you can optimize your workloads even with the help of Google and all that. And guys, I don't even think I need to create an application. I think this is an informative topics. I hope everybody is getting how you play with your costs.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I had lost my screen again, but yeah, so you need to be able to play with this. Like if you are very sure you're gonna be you have a single, like you have a single. You see, we have not even started to like create a new. We did not try to create a new resource. Like I am already in this project, but next one we will actually create a project and start working on it. So you have to play with that, and that's one of the ways you test how. Because again, there's also something you should be wary of. Look at this E2. You see E2, it's hosted in US Central 1. If I come here and change it to, let me look at the most expensive one I know. Tokyo. You see how it changes the price? Have you guys noticed that?
Yes.
Yes. So you need to actually know which region your VM is, and like even the zone. And then you know which series it is, which machine type you are getting, whether it's confidential, whether you can do containers in it, and whether you can add what kind of services are there. So we will talk about all this, but for today we wanted you guys to just think of cost, think of your application, think of what you actually want your application to do, and then you'll be able to do cost calculations. Now, one final thing, because I think we are really running out of time. I think this is a discussion we can pick up another time. Price. If you want to know how much your resources, any resource you use in GCP will tentatively cost you, because I say the word tentative because when you are working with networks, this becomes a little bit difficult, because then there's a networking charge that costs you. But if you can, I don't know whether anybody can see the screen, but I have shared the link. That link will help you to tell you if you are using this kind of how many instances. Say I'm running 4 instances of web, and this is E2 standard in US Central 1, and then I do add to estimate. It will tell you how much it should be costing me per month. Yeah? Are we good now?
Yes, we're good.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, this is what you need to be doing, and I really hope this one has been able to explain a little bit about what I mean by how you create a VM. If you're this one, you are creating it from scratch. From the existing instance and template, we will talk about that. That's a later stage, because we have to talk about networking. Right now, let me, I think, We're gonna cross in the next like 10 minutes or so. So I hope you guys are okay with that. I've extended that. And yeah, there's somebody I need to answer. I think he has been answered. Isaac Maake, yes, it was supposed to be 11 a.m. EAT. That's East African Standard Time. Oh, rather, East Africa time. So that's why. So sorry if you are mistaken and you were waiting for it on another different time. The good thing is I'm recording this and I'll be able to share it on my YouTube channel, which I'm gonna share within the groups. So so what I want you guys to do, like with all this knowledge that we have talked, we have two labs. Okay. Trying to copy that one. Okay, so if you guys with the knowledge you have had, just go. There's these two labs on getting started with GCP. On your course. I'll open mine just now, and you can see you'll be able to actually play with just start the other one that we have not talked about, starting a VM from the marketplace. Go check this lab. It's there. GCP fundamentals, getting started with the cloud marketplace. And 2, get GCP fundamentals, getting started with compute engine. You can be able to play with those two and you'll be able to understand a little bit of more. And think of it more. Just don't think about completing the lab, but think about why they are telling you to do this. And that way you will learn faster. You will be able to understand GCP fast. Now, let me move quickly to questions. And I have had a few questions. One of them, that's one I'm finding. Jules Kala was asking to give the best and easiest order to learn the courses on Pluralsight. I don't seem to have mentors on call. Let me find another one here. Let me get. Okay, let me just say, Julkal, I'll find you on the platform and I'll be able to share that. I also actually talk with the other mentors because these courses, you get a lot of information that we should be, it's not really trying to focus you on a single path. At the end of the day, the certification will be associate, but there's a lot of contents that open up, even, and this is just phase 1. In phase 2, we get a lot even in machine learning, AI, and you have a lot of, you get a lot of hours that I'll be able to, let me just tell you, I'll be able to give you a link of how personally I followed, like 2-3 years ago, I followed this path. It's how to actually, I started also from scratch, so yeah, I can tell you that. Then another person was asking, this is Daniel. Question between, what's the main difference between Kubernetes and Docker? Docker is a container registry platform, and you guys interject when you think I'm wrong. But Kubernetes is those containers now that have been made with Docker or any other. I mean, I don't think right now we have any other. I mean, Docker kind of took over the market and controlled it. It's now Kubernetes is a orchestration, like an orchestration problem, means like it can be able to, it is supposed to make the containers consistent. That's the difference. And that one I can try to look for. Any mentor, anybody who can join in, I can just say the difference, because for me that's as simple as this. There's something else like Docker. When Docker started, it had a different platform for container orchestration, which was Docker Swarm. It's still being used, but it's just that Kubernetes has taken over like the market for that. I hope I've answered your question in a way, but if you have more questions, actually we can also discuss it on chat and everything. so don't worry about this. That was Mesak. I think I answered you. Then Mevin is asking, if I create a free tier compute VM, say on a personal site, then later on I create a project that requires some billing, will the first project continue being free? Yes, definitely. It requires it just continues being free. However many applications you have, you will get that free tier of one of those VMs. If they are E2 standards, it will be for free. Okay, Mevin? I really hope I have answered you. So yeah, that's how it works. It will also be free. What? Somebody said they can't hear my voice. Can anybody else hear?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, because that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I was worried. So yes, I will. Yes, everybody is talking about the guided learning path. Yes, I will be able to share that on the forums. Like, don't worry about that. So guys, I think there was a confusion somewhere there. I have seen a lot of people have joined this hour, and I don't know, like, let me look who just joined. Whether it was this meeting is supposed to start like at 11 a.m. EAT. That's East African time. So probably for somebody in Nigeria, we are, I think, 2 hours apart. So it will be like 9
Yes.
your time. And I think that was the misconception. The next one I will share, I will be able to just actually share even the anybody else's time. I'll try to accommodate a lot of this of African countries, because I feel like there was a misunderstanding there. It was supposed to be 11 a.m. EAT. Anybody else has another question?
I think you can use GMT next time, maybe. I think that's where the confusion came.
Yes, I think so. I just use GMT and everybody does their own differentiations. Yeah, that's the goodness. That's a very good idea, actually. The good thing is we are starting. We haven't gone that far. We're just in this discussion. If anybody has a question, they can actually be able to just shoot it up.
You haven't answered my question on the containerization support.
There?
I said you haven't answered my question on the containerization support.
Can you repost it? I think I'm just moving up. Oh, yes, I have seen it, Karimot. Aha, containerization. Okay. This, I think we need to have like a whole discussion on containerization. Anybody can have a chip in as before I talk? Okay. So, Karimot, containerization happens in this way. You see this when we were talking about containerizing a VM. A VM, what you are doing is you are creating a virtual PC on top of your hardware. That's what OS virtualization will be. But when we talk about containerization, you are containerizing not the OS. You are now you are actually now, like, let's say, packaging. You are packaging the application dependencies themselves, irrespective of which bare metal architecture they are gonna go learn in. So I really need a better explainer on this, because this one requires a little bit of. So containerization is like this. Let me use the example I've always used. You go into a mall, that assume that is your computer. Then within the mall, there are small sections of shops, which are the VMs. That's what the VMs we are talking about. Now, assuming within those stalls, somebody else is renting another store inside there, and they don't care whether the store is paid to the bigger organization or not. That would be the container. And so, like, one stall, which is a VM, can have a lot more other businesses going on. Like this idea we have called like rent a store. That's the most layman explanation I can do. But beyond that, now it's just using a software like Docker for your specific application, and containerizing and like bundling up all its dependencies, that you don't have to think about the OS, or you have to think about the OS but not directly, because most of the VMs, the containers we use, they rely on a Linux kernel. But in reality, you just package all your application dependencies in one, and such that when I share with somebody else with another computer, they don't have to try to provision resources that is from the space, like how a VM would work, where you are containerization, you are like packaging the actual architecture. This time you are it's just software and the dependencies that your application needs. I hope I am clear on that. I don't know whether I can make it a better explanation, but that's a whole discussion. Like, that's a whole topic we can have for containerization. Yep. Anybody else has a question? Okay, I think silence means everybody is okay. So next time we'll be talking about so please guys, go, if you are not very okay with creating VMs and everything, go find these two labs in the GCP fundamentals course. It's under it's one of the courses being offered, and do these two labs. They will give you a little bit more basis of how to create these VMs and why you are. But this time, create them with what we have talked in mind. Why are you creating it, and which one can be free for you when you are using it, and what are the implications? Okay. Then finally, those who will be able to join us next week, we'll be talking about some of the details of a VM, and this time I'll have an application that is ready to run, so that we can deploy something from, like, we are doing it from scratch. But I will have a little bit of cache in my GCP to be able to do that, because then I'll be able to work on that. Then the next time, that's August 31st, and this is 11 a.m. EAT. Let me figure that in GMT. That will be 8 a.m. GMT. Is it?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Yeah, we will be talking. These are the things we'll talk about. We will go deeper into GCP regions and zones. Check which ones that will cost you more and why. We will talk about disk, VM disk, which application, which OS do you want to learn on your VM. The startup script, which other code you want to learn when your application gets created, what needs to be done before you even start using it. Then we'll talk about attaching disks to your VM for persistent storage. We'll talk about service accounts. That will be an introduction, because service account is a whole new topic on its own. We will discuss how Google accesses your VMs, and how you can actually even stop even Google from accessing your VM once you create it. Then about firewalls, how to stop HTTP request or SSS request into your VM, and then we talk about networks a little bit. Networks is a very huge topic that needs a step-by-step discussion. So, hi, I see a lot of people joining, and I'm sorry, guys. We kind of winding up, but thank you for joining. I'm sorry the timing was actually, I think there was a problem with timing because it was supposed to be 11 a.m. EAT, and I think most people joining in from Nigeria there was a mix up in the time. I really hope this one for 31st August we'll be able to get more people joining in. Like that will be 8 a.m. GMT. And then I will try for the next one to recap on what we have discussed today and what we discussed last time, because this kind of a continuous session that we are creating in how to go about it, how to think about how your VMs work, and then we will look from that. I hope we will end up somewhere where we can say why not to use this VM and maybe use a Google provisioned resource, something like that, and why like do those. So yeah, it will be at 8 a.m. GMT. That's the next meeting on that first. But before we wind up, there's somebody I need to answer. Do we need to learn coding? Because in some demonstration, I see that they learn some codes. That is a tricky question for me to answer you, but the actual answer is you need to understand computing principles. Because if you don't understand coding, I'm not saying you code yourself, but if you do not understand coding, you won't be able to get an application and be able to deploy it for a client, and you don't actually understand some of it's basic computing. I don't know. I hope you are clear. Yeah?
Platform.
Yeah, yes.
They are not for mobile.
Yes, like you need to, I don't know, like maybe guys answer this question for Alabi. Not Alabi. For Karimot. Do you need to learn coding? Because in some demos I see that they learn code. In essence, you need to learn a little bit of the basics of computing, because otherwise, I don't know. Will that... Hey guys, also there's something I'm asking, because I told you guys you should talk to me, tell me, is this meeting coming in at like 8 a.m. GMT a problem, like for people to join? Because that's technically is the time I am usually available. So do you guys propose a different time? Or because I have seen like a lot of people just joined. Yes, and now Alabi, you get the recorded version of this. I've been recording this, hopefully. Yeah, I'll share the link on the discussions, so be on the watch out for that.
Okay, thank you. That's noted.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. I think many of us joined a bit late because of the maybe timing, because I even tried to even join early, so but I could say that it's only 10-minute part of the session I was able to get. So I think that would be a gap, but it's fine. So subsequently, such will not occur.
Okay.
Thank you for the section.
Okay, you're welcome. So guys, this is what we discuss next time. So I really hope to see you guys. And if you have a question, please ask through the forum. I mean, I think most people feel like they're afraid to ask any question you can on the platform, because after these months are over, you're gonna tire your mind off trying to Google answers. Well, here in the Adela platform, you have a lot of mentors who are actually working with these products, and they can be able to help you very fast. So anytime you are stuck, find any mentor, talk about it in the chit chat and in all the groups, somebody is about to answer your question. Okay. I hope to see you guys. I hope you guys have had a nice session. Before I go, these are some of the resources I would tell you to go. I could share them, and also this PPT will be available in the forum. I will also put it there, so if you want to look at what we have talked about, it will also be available. Actually, that one will be available in the next like 30 minutes, while the video may be tomorrow. Okay. Okay, guys. Hope to see you next time.
Exist.
Yeah, you can leave the meeting at will, and it has been great having you guys. Although